right, guys, today we are going to be doing our hobo bag. So we are making a mini version so that you can see it. And it's not quite so large, but yours will be, of course, quite a lot bigger than this. I've designed your pattern so that it fits onto half a yard of fabric of each of your fabrics. So you've got your lining and your outer pieces. These are, of course, reversible, but for all intents and purposes, it's the lining and the outside fabric. So you get half a yard of both of those and it should fit on there pretty well. Your pattern's gonna have some markings that look like this. These markings just mean to place this piece on the fold of the fabric and this piece on the fold of the fabric. So I've already done that and cut these out. So I've got a fold up here of my fabric and a fold right here. And I just simply drew a line right here to get these cut out. And now I have a mirror image of both of these, and this part will create our strap. So what we're gonna do is just set aside a pattern for a minute, and we're going to put these together, right sides together, like that. And we're gonna be sewing on these curvy edges right here to create the strap. Okay, so we're gonna be right here. All right, so we're gonna be sewing right in this curvy edge right here on both sides. I'm just gonna line this up along the edge of the presser foot to sew it. You do a little back stitch to start. We're just gonna sew on that curve. Okay, we're gonna do that also on the other side. So what we're creating right now is our strap. I'm just sewing this right along the edge of the presser foot. That's always a nice handy line when you're starting to line things up with. There we go. All right, so we've got our curvy edges sewn right in here. And now we're going to be trimming, not really trimming, but clipping into these curves right here. So we're just gonna trim like this. Do some little fringe clips into just those curvy parts. I'll show you a little bit closer what this is gonna look like. The reason for this is because it helps the fabric to behave itself when we turn it right side out. It will make your curves come out really nice and not get all bunchy. And you can see where I clipped those right there. So those are just little fringy clips. If you have an outward curve, we do more triangular clips. Now I'm gonna take all of this and pull it through this way so that it's right side out. All right, there we go. So now we got it right side out. You can optionally iron at this step. I usually wait until the end. Now we have our two pieces like this. So we've got our inner and outer pieces. And what I'm gonna do now is take the ends right here and put them right sides together, those shorter ends. And my dotty fabrics also right sides together like this. So you may remember this, something like this from the zipper pouch. This is kind of what it looked like for the zipper pouch. So we've got our right sides together of both. And I'm gonna clip these two pieces together. I'm gonna take my seams and just kind of flip one way and one the other way to get them going flat when I sew across them. Okay, and now we have that. We're gonna be sewing straight down this line, just on these long edges. We're not gonna go around the whole thing yet. We're gonna sew on those long edges on both sides. Like that. There we go. All right, let's put it underneath. Again, along the edge of the presser foot. If you want to skip back stitching here, that is fine, because we'll be cutting it off to make box corners in a minute. Okay, on that other side, same thing. We're gonna put this down, back stitch, optionally. Going across that flat seam. Okay, now we got those long edges sewn. All right, so if we left it like this and we sewed across these right here, this would look more like a Easter basket kind of thing. So it looks more like a, like you could make the strap longer and kind of make it a crossbody sling if you wanted to. But for our purposes, what we're gonna do to make that strap go into the middle and give it more of that bag shape is we're gonna take this across like this, and I'm gonna bring these two seams together like that. I'm again just flattening those. So I've got one seam going one way, one seam going another way, so that when we go across it, it's flat. And we're gonna do that same thing over here on this side. So this is the step I tell you to kind of choose one of these that you know will be on the inside more often, because we have to leave a hole in one of them. And even though it's reversible, one of them will be a little bit, we'll have a little hole that we've gotta clean up in one way or another. So for me, I think I'm gonna do this one on the inside. So what I'm gonna be doing is leaving that hole in the center of this. So I'm gonna take a pin, and thankfully I grabbed two red ones, so hopefully you'll be able to see it. But this is gonna be our start stop line right here. So we're gonna sew from here to that pin, then we're gonna start at this pin and go to that end right there on this one. Oh no, my needle came unthreaded, you guys. Let's rethread that. My home machine is so much more complicated than the ones at the studio, so it takes me a few more minutes to get it. I'm not as used to it. But it does that, which is the coolest thing ever. Threads it for you. Okay, so we're gonna start again here. Little back stitch. And I'm gonna move it over. Little back stitch. And back stitch. Cut. Take it off. So now we've got our hole that we have in the center so that we can flip this in a minute. Now this side, the one that's gonna be on the outside, is going to just be straight across this edge. Okay, you may have noticed when I sewed across that I got a little bit right here, so if that bothers you, you can always cut it. For this, I'm not gonna worry about it because this bag is gonna be so small. So I'm gonna take this, and now we're going to box the corners, which is an optional step, but one I always like to do. So I'm gonna fold my edges in like this so I can just get these corners boxed at the same time. And I'm gonna cut about an inch out of this right here. On my larger bags, I do it at about 1.5 inches, but for this one, I'm just gonna cut a little corner out of each of these. Once I get this cut, I'll show you what we end up with. So now we have that little corner out of each side right there. So to get your corner boxed, you are gonna grab right up here and pull it apart like that. Like that. And then we'll clip that together, and we're just going to be sewing across right there. And we're going to do that on all 4 corners. This one's being stubborn. There we go. Back stitch. Okay, so now we got that one sewn. We'll pop this one out. Do the same thing across that one. You guys, I'm being kind of lazy with my sewing here. There we go. That one's a little better. There we go. Okay, halfway there, we got 2 of 4. So we're gonna come into the other side and do the same thing. We're popping that one open, and we're gonna sew across that. Box corners are so fun because you can add them to a bunch of different things to kind of elevate the look of it a little bit. So you can put these onto not only bags like this, but you can put them onto your zipper pouches and any other kind of bag that has a flat bottom. You can just optionally add them. And I tend to do them a lot if I've got something that I need to be 3D. So I did some pencil pillows a couple weeks ago, and I put those on the end because it was easier for the kids to sew than putting something round together, but we still got that 3D look. So now we've got our box corners. Now you can optionally go back in and trim all these seams up if you want to take a little bulk out of here. I'm just doing this fast for you, so I'm not trimming any of my seams, but you could definitely do that and get them cleaned up and ironed. So now we've got our little hole that we left right here, and we're going to flip everything through that hole. Sure you're sensing a theme now from all the things you've sewn. We're always leaving a little hole so we can flip everything. And we've got our bag all looking crazy right now, but the reason I have it like that is because we've got our hole right here that we left in that lining piece. And you have options for sewing this together. In class, I usually will have you guys sew these with a hand stitch so I can show you how to do that. But what we're gonna do here, I'm just gonna sew this straight across on the machine. So I'm just gonna put it real close to the edge. As long as you get it closed, that's all we're looking for here. Just don't want a hole in your bag. And then you can cut off your threads right here. And I'm going to flip my lining piece inside my outer piece. And then you will have the cutest, tiniest little hobo bag right here. So this one is so small, and I just love it. I think it's adorable. But yours, of course, will be a lot bigger. And you can always, if you're not going to flip them, you can even add a snap or a button right here. And you can, I love this project because you can make it small like this, and you can also make them really big and make them like a beach bag. Of course, you would want to iron this really well, and then it's going to make it look really nice. And optionally, you can go back in and top stitch this. I'm going to do that really quick just to show you, because sometimes we don't have time for that in class. So I'm going to start on a seam right here and just go along the edge of this. It looks a little better if you iron it first. It looks a lot better if you iron it first, but my iron doesn't fit on my table here. And on the larger bags, you can actually take off your free arm part right there and do it on there. Mine's too small to do that. Okay, so there's my top stitched edge. That looks really nice, a little better. And there you go. So you got your little handle right there. Awesome job.